Guys, good morning. Angelo. I'm going to make a quick video tutorial for a fellow photographer that wanted to know how to take his image from importing into Lightroom through Photoshop and then exporting just for web presentation. So I'm going to show you how I handle this. It's very simple. There's going to be no creative edit whatsoever. It's going to be just what I do with the programs that I mentioned earlier. So the first thing is I like to have a look at the image, zoom in, and see if I'm going to have any problem areas. Now, first thing I'm going to tell you is I see some noise in the sky. I see some color noise. The far wing, just due to he shot this at f8 ISO 100, which is perfect. The only thing I wish he would have done was shot in RAW. He shot this in JPEG. We can work with it because it is a pretty good capture for a JPEG image. I would prefer RAW, but that being said, we'll handle this as best we can as it's presented to us. So the near wing looks maybe a little out of focus, just a touch. All in all, he did a pretty good job. So what do? Well, the first thing in Lightroom is these two boxes right up here. I make sure that these are on. That's off. Okay, this is on. This is going to show you if highlights are blown out. It's also going to show you if your darks are too dark. What do I mean by that? Well, if the highlights were too bright, they would show red, as long as this box right here is on. If the box is off, it won't. So just leave them on. And that shows you right off the bat if we've got some issues. Now, that doesn't mean we don't want to work with our highlights a little bit, maybe pull them down just a touch, but that will at least show you if you have problems from the get-go. So moving down, let's crop the image. When I crop, I usually use the top third and the bottom third line. I'll put the same or approximate distance from the belly of the plane to the bottom third line and the top of the plane to the top third. I will normally leave a little bit of space here on the wings or whatever edge you might select, and then I'm going to level. Grab the leveling tool. For an oceanscape, it's easy. Just grab that edge of the water, drag it to this edge of the water, and voila, it's leveled. Okay, next we're going to move across here. We're going to check for any spots. There was one right above the tail, so I selected the healing brush tool. You can check this box, and it will show you any spots that are very offensive on the image. But this was one that was hard to see, and the way to do that is select the healing brush tool, go down to your sharpening area, add just a touch of sharpening, hold down Option on a Mac, I think it's Alt or Control on a PC, slide the mask slightly to the right, and you would have seen that spot. That's how I found it. When you're done, take the sharpening out and hit the done button, and we fix the spot. Okay, moving on across, I'm not going to apply a gradient. I'm not going to do anything creative with the brush tool because this is a simple edit. Now I'm going to move down into my exposure. The exposure looks good to me. I mean, he's got it right in the middle. I don't see any need to adjust that. Highlights, I'm going to leave them alone. I would normally pull them back just a little bit. Okay, maybe minus 20 on the highlights. Shadows, I'm going to leave it. Whites, hold down Option, slide it all the way to the right, and that's going to show you your start point. Now bring that to the left until you don't have any pixels left, right there. Looks like plus 11. And for darks, I do the reverse. Move the slider to the left, hold Option down, slide to the right until the pixels are, for the most part, gone. And there you go. Okay, moving on down. Clarity, we're going to leave alone. Vibrance, I did add a little bit of vibrance, maybe plus 15, just to. I think the water it's a beautiful blue water. The problem with just arbitrarily sliding this up is you're going to add all that red vibrant. We don't want red on the airplane, so this is a great place to use the tool and just add a little bit of. You really can't add. Unfortunately, the tool only adds saturation, so we'll take it up to 30, and we'll just add some saturation in the water because the water is just too beautiful blue. We really want to highlight that. Okay. If you click this button, it shows what you've painted on. You can see we've not painted on the airplane. We've kept this for the most part on the water. And if you were to have gone a little over on the plane, hold Option down, and then just it'll erase it from that area. And then let off Option, and you can paint it back. So that's how that works. Hit done, and I'm happy with that. Moving on down, we're going to leave the sharpening alone because he shot this in JPEG. Luminance, leave it. I didn't see any chromatic aberration, which would be the purple fringing. If you saw any, you'd click this box, click that little dropper tool, and look for those little purple edges. Click the purple edges and it'll be gone. But again, there's none on this photo, so we're good. Now we're ready to move on to Photoshop. Okay guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this, and I like to, for web presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down to 3,000 pixels. I'm going to make sure that all these boxes are checked, and I use bicubic smoother. Hit OK. Zoom back into 100% or 66 to 100, and now we're going to cancel the noise, filter, nick, and Define 2.0. Define 2.0 does a fantastic job as a general noise cancellation software. I also have Topaz Denoise. It's more advanced in some areas. This is just your one-stop, user-friendly. It finds the noise for you. Automatic profile is what I normally use, and hit OK. It'll cancel the noise out, and 9 out of 10 times it's all I need. I will, however, use it sometimes 2 times, once at the beginning of my workflow, once at the end, and that'll just depend on where we're at the end. So next, after I've done the noise, is I'm going to check the color balance. Now I'm going to Command J, duplicate my duplicate my layer rather, and come down here and select threshold. With threshold selected, I'm looking for the to slide this little slider to the right. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see where I'm at. I'm looking to keep the brightest pixels. So at this point, we can pick any of these areas. I'm going to select this one up here. So what I'm going to do is zoom in, put that right there, select your eyedropper tool and color sampler, and put a little spot right there. Next, come back, zoom back out, slide this to the left. Now we're looking for the darkest of the darks. Alright, we'll select this area. That looks pretty good. And select it. And then now zoom back out. And we can drag the threshold layer off. And you can see what we got going on. You can see it. There's a dark area. There's a bright area. Now, let's put a curves adjustment on that. And with the curves adjustment, we're going to select the dark dropper tool. And we're going to click our dark area. Okay. Now we're going to select the bright dropper tool and select our bright area. And that's it. So there's your color balance. Done. I normally don't mess with the middle dropper, which is the neutral area. This 9 out of 10 times is good enough for me. So to get rid of those little points that we put, you hit Shift on your keyboard, click it, and drag it up into this area off the photo. Same thing with the other one. Shift, grab it, drag it, and then let go. Okay, so just to show you, that was before and that was after. Before, after. We can now, I'll just flatten the image, and at this point we're going to, I'm going to add a little bit of contrast. Now if you're not wanting to use any fancy programs, sometimes you can just come in here and just say auto contrast with Photoshop. 9 out of 10 times it does a good enough job. Okay, so we did our contrast. Next we're going to sharpen, and here's how I do it. I'm going to use a 2 sharpening pass technique, and it's using high pass, a little different than you might have seen in some of my other videos. But I'm getting pretty good results, and it's very user-friendly, so this is how I do it. Command J, duplicate my background layer. I'm going to go Image, Adjustment, Desaturate, and desaturate the layer. Now I'm going to change that blend mode to hard light. Next I'm going to go filter, other, high pass, and this is a 3000 pixel image, so I'm going to use right about 1.3 pixels for this. If I were to have downsized this already to 13 or 1400 pixels, this is way too much on your first pass. You need to be down about 0.3 to 0.4. But we're going to go 1.3 on this, hit OK, and I don't see any obviously offensive jagged areas, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten this, flatten the image, and Command J again, and this is our second high pass layer, or our second high pass sharpening pass. And how we're going to do that is a little bit different. I'm going to go filter, other, high pass, and on this one I'm going to use 0.4. Hit OK, change the blend mode to hard light, and you can see it's a little bit of a different process. This one's going to be masked. Now we're going to put a layer mask on it and hit Command I. Invert the mask. Select B for your brush tool. Increase your diameter. Make sure you've got, I use a hard brush for this. Normal for my mode. My opacity, I put it about 75%. And white is my foreground color because we're not showing any of the second sharpening at this point. We're going to paint it in right where we want it. Okay, and it's important to be in at least 66 to 100 so that you can see if you're creating any jagged areas, and you can see we're not. So you know, if your image will take it, go ahead and bump that up some. Bump it up to 88, 100, maybe even 100%. And this image actually is, I've got no problem actually probably going to 100 and just sharpening the airplane all the way across. Okay, you can see we're not creating any jagged edges, but we are definitely bringing out a little bit more pop, a little bit more contrast. Going across the registration, looks good. We didn't create any jagged areas there. If you did, just hit X on your keyboard and paint it out. Okay, but it looks pretty good to me. Okay guys, so at this point I'm going to flatten the image. I'm pleased with where I'm at. I don't see any offensive jagged edges. The only thing I see is maybe a little bit between the red vertical stabilizer and the blue sky. I might have a little bit of a edge halo there. So I duplicated my layer, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, 1 pixel's fine, hit OK, layer mask, and Command I to invert it. Grab your brush with a white foreground color here and set your opacity to about 40%. And now just paint along the edge halo. And that has a pretty good effect of hiding it. That's it. So now we're going to flatten our image, and I'm going to save it back to Lightroom. Okay. And at this point, we can, right from where we are, save for web. So save for web. I'm going to select 1400. I'm going to use bicubic smoother. Make sure this convert to sRGB is on. Basically, look at what I have here and mimic that, and hit save, and you can name it, save it to a spot that you know you'll be able to find it, and that's it. So now you've got a 3000 pixel version right here. Okay guys, so that's it. In under 20 minutes, that was how I would have edited that photo for putting it on an online website. And we went from basically this was the original JPEG to this. And if you want to look a little closer, here's your full screen view. That was before and that was after. So a little bit of a color balance. We've sharpened it, we canceled the noise, and it's just your basic non-creative edit. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you soon.